Hey, let's talk about Stellar Elite today. So what is Stellar Elite anyway? It's basically a bunch of characters that have developed over time, starting in my late teens, early 20s. Secret agents in space, that's it. Growing up, I loved anything related to spies and science fiction, things like 007, Star Trek, X-Files, Mass Effect, to name a tiny few influences. I just wanted to mash all of these things together in my art. So the genre of Stellar Elite is obviously science fiction with a bit of urban fantasy. I don't necessarily like to use these labels because I'm not coming from a writer background and I don't know if they're correct. I'm still unsure how this is going to work, but I do want some supernatural element, and I think it will have to do with the quote-unquote magic system. There isn't going to be space wizards per se, but there will be inexplicable phenomena, basically. To get into the theme, I started this as a not too deep mashup of things I'm obsessed with: spies, military-industrial complex, science fiction, fantasy, etc. Over time, though, I realized I wanted to tell a story with these stellar babes and figured I'd need to come up with a theme. I want to explore paranoia, shifting realities, uncertainty. Sound familiar? Our agents will be confronted with many challenges. I do plan on torturing them Sims style. And a big part of those challenges are going to be them wondering if they've made the right choice, picked the right side, what way is up, down, sideways. You get what I mean. They are part of a naval organization called the Pandana United Fleet, which itself is part of the Pheno Interplanetary Union, which comprises 3 planets. Pheno being the star system that Stellar Elite exists in, and the planets being Pandana, Sata, and Lithra. Okay, I'm gonna stop right there because I'm pretty sure I've gone way too lore heavy already. I just want to take a quick sidebar to talk about how fun it was to get back into my sketchbook. I know I've been talking about that a little bit on Instagram, but I decided to do it with some inks this time rather than just pencil sketches. I usually wait for Inktober for this, but I think it's probably better to just kind of flex that muscle all year round rather than doing it 1 month a year and expecting to be great at it and then being annoyed when I'm not. So I did this once in my sketchbook and I kind of screwed it up and I scribbled all over it and got pissed off. And then I was like, you know what? Let's just do it again rather than leaving it at being screwed up. So I did it again in this kind of weird bound on all sides watercolor sketchbook. It's cool because it keeps it flat and it keeps it from buckling while you're working on it, and then you can just kind of cut it out and do whatever with it. So I just cut it out and stuck it into the sketchbook on top of the screwed up sketch. I'm going to do a little bit more of this in the future. In fact, my next video is probably going to be a watercolor video. I did buy a few things. Oops. Ooh. Anyway, back to the regular scheduled program. Just wanted to throw that in. So we talked about what Stellar Elite is, so now let's talk about who Stellar Elite is. Who are the players? I'm going to start with Jetta St, who I'm currently drawing. She is the commander, the femme fatale. I also call her my cyber gothic princess. She's a real gadget nerd who loves a good scan data sesh, who can also somewhat scarily switch character like a chameleon on a whim. She has somewhat rebelled against her family wishes in joining the fleet. Next we have Varys Weston, or Vare as we call her, the weapons specialist, and a very silly gun-toting, beer-swilling goose who is just absolutely extreme in everything she does. Her parents insisted she join the fleet to stop her rolling with gangs and being a general menace. Next we have Jaro Casada. I like to call him Top Gun. He's our cute little aviator. I also call him fighter pilot jock bro, who spends a lot of time boxing at the gym, sometimes getting into brawls. He's protective of those close to him and is kind of a foodie and a stoner. Make that make sense. I don't know. He left his hippie terraformer parents to go fly in space, Luke Skywalker style. This is so nerdy. Oh my god. Next we have a lovely, mysterious boy I call Mr. Redacted because I decided I wanted to keep him a mystery. So he's going to stay that way for a bit. He is a level 5 Elite Ops agent, the negotiator, the company man, and also insanely stylish. He has a bit of a role to play in Jetta's origin, but what is Mr. Redacted's origin? Wouldn't you love to know? More on that later, obviously. We'll get back to him. Lastly, we have the Doc, or Balin Laurie, who is no shit the crew's doctor. Resident dreamy boy. I have only recently added him to the gang, so I don't have his origins fully fleshed out. I will say that he goes to painstaking lengths to try and live an analog life while being completely surrounded by tech. He's the kind of dude who carries a field notes journal around to pour his thoughts into or sketch a cool doorway. Kind of a dreamy, stargazy kind of sci-fi academia. Can I do that? Can I mash those together? Why not? We're mashing all the things out here. Okay. So now that I've got all that dorky lore out of the way, what do I plan on doing with Stellar Elite? This is kind of the trickier part. I think initially what I want to accomplish is some sort of art book or lore bible similar to Deathburger's Citadel 9, The Future Is Now, which is a banger and I highly recommend it. I would also like to tackle some sort of sequential style art, yes, comics. I really like the idea of like swiping through carousel style comics on Instagram. They are hilarious and it's actually kind of fun and a great use of carousel, and I think it could be good for engagement and all that kind of stuff. But it is kind of limited, and I want to also try and tackle or produce a zine or mini comic that's printed. I want to treat this like a world that I build where I tell little story snippets, kind of like how TNG operated back in the day. I would love to do an animated short as well, but man, that is a big dream. I'm also forever torn between 2D and 3D. I don't really have any experience with 2D animation, so I think 3D stylized would be more attainable for me. I'm pretty well versed in Blender, and I think I could learn that, but again, big dream for down the line, maybe. I have to admit, I struggled and really put off getting this video out. Part of me was a bit nervous to put my world out there, even though I've already done so on Instagram. It's very different to talk about it on YouTube. Another part of me is actually kind of overwhelmed with how much YouTube is taking away from me creating art and writing my story. I know I'm new to this and can't expect everything to be perfect right off the bat, but wow, it's a lot. I'm actually not sure how this is going to work for me juggling YouTube with my art in general, but what would help is knowing what you guys like and if it's resonating or not. I really do want it to work. I'm going to take a wee break from the Photoshop tutorials to fix how I do them, as they're not really performing the way I want and they take a lot to produce right now for me. So I'm definitely continuing the series. I just need to do some research and fine-tune them. Anyway, let me know what you think of the world of Stellar Elite, and if you want me to do more deep dives into the world I have so far and maybe do some world build with me type silliness. I don't know. I have some weird ideas. If you're into art, world building, vlogs, and art business type stuff, hit the like button and subscribe for more videos. I upload every Friday afternoon. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!